Our next presenter is a writer of fiction, poetry, and creative nonfiction. In 2013, the Tribune named Audrey Petty a Chicagoan of the Year for her work, High-Rise Stories, a collection of first-person oral history narratives on life in Chicago's iconic public housing. A native Southsider, Petty currently teaches with the Odyssey Project at Illinois Humanities and Prison Plus Neighborhoods Arts Project. If you poked around the museum tonight, you would find Audrey Petty featured in Chicago Authored, the first ever crowdsourced museum exhibit, as a writer whose works demonstrate that Chicago is still a place where secrets can be revealed. Tonight, we look forward to her revelation on how we can travel up south. Please welcome Audrey Petty.
Of the many lessons I learned collecting oral histories for High-Rise Stories, some of the most profound were lessons in hospitality. I met and heard stories of those who extended uncommon generosity to their neighbors in public housing. Living on low incomes of reduced material means, these Chicagoans secured and stretched resources and extended what they could to others. As you might expect, when asked to remember home, many folks wove food into the texture of the daily lives they recounted. A central location in Robert Taylor Homes, the candy store that Miss Darlene Clare ran in her apartment, and the annual Christmas toy giveaway she orchestrated there with her brother dressed as Santa. A cherished discovery for Paula Hawkins, the best homemade ice cream she's ever had in her life, made by a neighbor, Miss Carmen, when Paula was a little girl. Reminiscing about her 70s childhood in Cabrini Green, Paula says, living there was like a family reunion all the time, end quote. I learned about progressive potlucks from Chandra Bell, who grew up in Cabrini in the 1980s. She says, Christmas and the holidays, that was the best time at Cabrini. Up on the 10th floor, everybody played with each other's toys, and then all of the food all over the building. Who's cooking today? End quote. And there's Peter Haywood, who grew from infancy to young adulthood in Stateway Gardens, his sorrow palpable as he described the final year of his home neighborhood. He recalls, quote, at Stateway, it was people helping people in the buildings. There was a lady, Miss Meeks. If I was hungry, I could go over to her house and eat breakfast, or I could go to Miss Wells' house and eat lunch, and really that's how a lot of us were living. People were taking care of each other. Every building had those cooks. If someone was homeless, they would bring food that they had left over to feed them. Miss Meeks was funny because she'd get mad if you don't come. You see, I cooked all this food and you ain't come? She would cook soul food, good nutritional soul food, black-eyed peas, fish fries, whatever, and this was every day of the week, end quote. Miss Savannah Meeks, now 72, migrated to Chicago in 1960 from Madison, Mississippi. As she remembers, my mother died and I came up here when my older brother was staying. It was winter. It didn't feel too good. I wasn't used to that type of weather. My oldest brother was the only one up here. He stayed over at 67th and Champlain. He worked in the steel mill. His wife worked as a packer at Montgomery Ward down at the Merchandise Mart. I babysit. One was an arm baby and the other two went to preschool. I'd cook, wash. When school started up again, I went to Inglewood High School. My first friend here was a girl named Edna. I never lived a child's life in my life. That's why I always told my kids, live a child's life. Don't grow up fast, live a child's life. You can play, talk, live, run. I took care of my sister's kids back in Mississippi. Maybe I had some of a child's life when my mother was living. When my mother died, that was over, because I had to take care of my sisters and brothers. I was 14, 15 when she died. I left right after, end quote. After 2 years with her older brother's family, Miss Meeks moved to her own apartment, a kitchenette in Woodlawn. She was a new mother by then, parenting a baby boy, Isidore. Soon she'd moved to Stateway Gardens, and her family there expanded. At Stateway, she hosted 5 younger siblings as one by one they migrated north to Chicago, searched for jobs, made their way up here. Miss Meeks worked as an aide in a nursing home in Uptown. She also got to knowing her neighbors. She says, "We had a garden. The whole building had a garden. Linda, Agnes, Miss Alice, Miss May, Jean Crawford. There was a lot of us that got together. We grew everything. Big collard greens, tomatoes, cabbage, peas. We growed everything that could grow there. We'd go to bed at night and come down the next morning to find someone had clipped the greens. And we just got so we said we were growing it for the neighborhood. Because when the neighborhood didn't have food for their kids, they ate out that garden. Store was over there. Go get them some salt pork, go and get some greens and cook for their kids. We had a garden and we had a flower yard right in the middle of that field. Back then, each community, Robert Taylor, here, 22nd, all of them, we would go up against each other. Who got the best garden? Who got the best flowers? We won first prize. We was good."